The American motorsport community is in complete outrage, as a bombshell document was leaked to several news outlets on Sunday revealing FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem as the grand conspirator behind several recent scandals that have marred the NTT IndyCar series, all as part of a grander conspiracy to bring it under FIA control. The 32-page document, sent to several outlets including The Race, The Indy Star, and Racer magazine by an anonymous insider, verified to be a former assistant to MBS, goes into significant detail about his grand plan to take over IndyCar in a bid to strengthen the FIA's presence in the North American market. This included the perpetrating of several incidents to ruin the credibility of the sport, including the FBI raids on the headquarters of both Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing and Andretti Global, as well as the technical infringement found on Team Penske's 2024 and 2025 Indy 500 cars, the latter seemingly dealing a significant blow to IndyCar's credibility, as the team's owner, Roger Penske, owns the IndyCar series through one of his subsidiary companies, the Penske and all he had to do was support the Ferraris. Welcome back to the Fast Track. This week we head way south of Canada to take on the next track in line, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Much like last week's track, this place uses pre-existing roads to form its basic shape, this time taking after the roads of the Magdalena Mixhuca Sports City. The idea came from a university student, Oscar Fernandez, who penned the design as his university thesis in 1953, though it would take 6 more years and the political influence of the Rodriguez family to put the track together. It would be at the end of that year that the track would also host its first race, won by one of the titular brothers, Pedro Rodriguez, with the other, Ricardo, coming third. Formula One would then take up interest in the track, hosting a non-championship round in 1962, which unfortunately resulted in the death of Ricardo. The track would be renamed in his honor, but then it would take up its current name a decade later after Pedro tragically passed away during an inter-series race at the Norris Ring. In spite of its initial teething troubles, however, the event would prove to be incredibly popular, to the point of regular overcrowding and overwhelming of all security at the track, which came to a head at the 1970 running of the Mexican Grand Prix, which resulted in both spectators lining the track mere feet from the cars flying past, and then second-place driver Jackie Stewart hitting and killing a dog that had run onto the circuit. Luckily, that was the only casualty that day, but the whole ordeal was terrifying enough for the FIA to strip it from the F1 calendar until 1986, then going off again in 1992, and finally seating itself as a regular visit in 2015, COVID cancellation notwithstanding. Two things that set this track apart from the rest is how high up it was built, as the thinner air makes it harder for both engines and drivers to breathe, as well as boasting one of the longest straightaways on the F1 calendar, which we'll be blazing past in this week's Hotlap. When you eventually reach the first corner, don't be afraid to use the inside curve to rotate your car, but do keep the back end in check and avoid the other curves as you go through the following left-right chicane. Tap the brakes and downshift to third as you head through 4, hugging the left so you get the best entry into 5. Throttle up briefly before braking and downshifting for 6, walking the car out and back towards the late apex. Turns 7 through 11 are characterized by taking lines that compromise your exit through the current corner to give you a better entry into the next corner. After navigating that nightmare, plant the throttle as best you can through 12, sway it through 13, and hold it flat to the end. Lateral grip and top speed are the two determining factors this week. A low downforce aero profile with a slightly forward balance is a good direction to start in, but be careful not to push it too far forward as it'll take load off of the rear and make it unstable. I tried experimenting with the alternate wing end plates, and while you can make them work under the right circumstances, do be aware that you will be losing a considerable amount of downforce in using them. Opening up the differential can also help with the S's, but don't overdo it, as the car will grow a tendency to naturally over-rotate. Finally, here are your stats for this week, with an asterisk for the tire wear figures, as this track in particular is incredibly brutal on them, and I suggest you do your own testing to figure out which compounds work best for you. And another one down. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to join me next week as we head to Manicourt. Until then, take it easy.